Hi, Jennifer Cianis, and we're back for another segment of Hope Week. And this time, my sweet husband Chris has generously um, accepted my request that he join me and say hi.
Happy to be here. Good morning or good afternoon.
Whatever time. Well, it should be morning if you're watching this when it's actually coming out. But we're going to talk about illusions a little bit. This is book 2 of my Apple Hill series. And you might wonder, why are you talking about illusions when Providence is the one that just came out, which it did last Tuesday. And it is book 3. But illusions has to do with marriage, and I thought how appropriate that Chris come in and share this with me. So we're going to banter back and forth a little bit. One thing I want to let you know, this was actually on the giveaway for yesterday's post, so you can always go back and try your chances at winning it. If you don't feel confident in that, stay tuned, and I'm going to tell you how you can get your free copy right now. Um, so this is a book, this is the only book I've written that actually deals with marriage, a married couple. It was inspired by Nikki's car accident. That's our daughter, Nicole, when she just turned 18. So all the hospital scenes and all the brain injury stuff came right from my journal, so that's true to life. But the marriage stuff was completely different, although there was some inspiration just because we have both been married before. So this is a second marriage for both of us. And neither one of us were Christians the first time we were married, and so it's a different journey this time for sure. So,
Well, and I was just going to say that we came into our marriage from two totally different life experiences. Jennifer had been married for 20,
almost 23 years.
23 years, got married young, and I was single most of my adult life. So I didn't really have anyone to answer to but myself. And so we both came into this marriage with, I would say, our baggage. And I don't know that I recognized that that was my baggage, my independence and my nature to kind of do things on my own and not really open up and share a lot of feelings. And you came from your own experience too.
Right. Well, and two, and Chris had put a lot of time and energy and effort into a career his whole adult life. So when you get that career minded, you kind of go in that way. And it's interesting because in the book Illusions, the husband Paul he's a pastor, and he's very career minded, but it gets to the point where his career as a pastor ends up overriding his family and even actually his call to minister. It becomes a point of pride for him, and that can often happen in a marriage. And then Corey, in the female character, the wife in here, had a desire to do what she felt God was calling her to do, and was kind of under the stricture of her husband making decisions for her that she was really starting to resent in the story. And that kind of where it starts out, and then things explode from there. And she had secrets in the past, and he kept things from her. And I really think we both have seen that once you allow that kind of thing to happen, the enemy gets a foothold into your marriage. So, what would you say is probably the strongest part of our marriage? I mean, what do you think helps us? I feel like we have a very good marriage.
Yeah, and it's been a journey for both of us individually to grow in our faith, because we were both beginning our faith journey when we started dating. And we had issues in the beginning where we bumped heads a lot because of our baggage we came in with.
And different perspectives.
And I think it was a number of things that, being in church, being in Bible studies, reading books, talking, having a heart to want to be what God calls us to be in a marriage and in a relationship, which is more selfless and more serving. So, a couple of books I think that impacted us significantly, aside from the Bible, were Sacred Marriage by Gary Thomas.
Mm-hmm. It's very good.
And his subtitle on the book, which still I think about quite often, was "What if God made marriage not to so much make you happy, but to make you holy, and to shape your heart to become more like Christ by loving someone who is different than you are, and putting them first instead of yourself first, and then the other book.
The 5 Love Languages. Yeah. And I think that not. I think that impacted us in different ways. That obviously the 5 Love Languages itself helps, but it's even just the way we each think. You know, Chris always had a desire to be recognized as a hard worker, and he is a hard worker. And I think another one, actually thinking about that, is Love and Respect by Emerson Eggerichs. That really impacted me hugely, because I think men have a desire to be respected where women have a desire to be loved. Not that it can't go hand in hand or that you have both, but the key component is that love and respect. And so when you figure out what that looks like to your partner, I mean, what does it look like for me to respect him? How does he feel respected, you know, and how does she feel loved? And the 5 Love Languages helps you with that. But respect, I think, is very key, because I think one of my huge downfalls in my first marriage, which I was not aware of until hindsight, years later after we were studying these books, was that I don't think I showed a lot of respect to my ex-husband. And we had a lot of issues. And one of those main issues was that he would just not tell me things. He would flat out lie about stuff. And so it would, I had a real issue with that in the beginning, abandonment issues and all that kind of stuff. You come into marriage. And so that's part of the, you can tell this is not a real professional video. We've got the washing machine going in the background. I can hear it. It's distracting me, so I apologize for that. Anyway, there are books out there that were written by Christian people that can give you a leg up if you need one or you feel like you need the help.
And I think one of the Bible studies we went to in the beginning together was a couples Bible study. The person leading it, Joe Calmes, he had a great influence on both of us, but he uses illustration of a marriage relationship and our relationship to God, and he used a triangle, and at the bottom of the triangle in the corners was the husband and the wife, or the husband and wife. At the top of the triangle was God, and he described this picture of, as we pursue God, the more we pursue him, the closer we become as two people, and as generally as Christ followers anyway. The more we pursue God, the more we draw close to each other. And I really found that has been true in our marriage. I think the more we've learned to have that heart of what God calls us to be in a marriage, it has really helped us become better friends, become better partners, become more excited about our life together.
Right.
But it's been a journey, and it does go up and down. That's how you grow. You go through tough times, and you work through it, and you put God first, and then just grow through it.
You do, yeah. And for me, one of the things in the illusions that I thought, it's funny. I write a book, and then I know where the inspiration comes from. It comes from the Holy Spirit. But I think of one thing I'm writing, and then I look back, and one of the things that are critical in here is that the character of Corey desperately had a desire to follow her dream to teach. That's what she wanted to do. And I did that. I was a teacher for years, but when Chris and I got married, my biggest dream had always been, since I was probably 12 years old, was to write. And I remember we hadn't been married yet. He hadn't even asked me yet. Actually, well, let's be honest, he didn't ask me until 3 years after we were married. But we hadn't planned on getting married quite yet. And he asked me one day, he says, if you could do anything as a career besides teach, what would you do? And I said, oh, I would write. I didn't even hesitate. And, we got married, and he said, if that's what God's calling you to do, don't you think that's what you should be trying? Try your hand at it, give it a good shot. So the idea was I was going to quit teaching for a year to see what would happen, and it took much longer than that. Obviously, we've been at this quite a while, but I could not have done any of this without Chris encouraging me and supporting me, and every conference that came up, you should go, and he'd pay for it. And so that's what I wouldn't be here as a writer if it hadn't been for this man. I would still be probably teaching in the classroom, which isn't a bad place to be, but I think this is where God wants me to be. So now, you have any last words to say, babe?
Well, just so you know, I have had Jennifer's books all read to me as she's gone along. So every time she finishes a chapter or several. So I've basically read on audio with my wife's voice. every book, and even though they're not really guidebooks in a sense, they're not really, that's not the target audience. There is a lot in the story where a male plays a role that's significant, and I would just encourage you to maybe share with your husbands if they don't read it, kind of what the depth of the story is really all about. Yeah, it's really good. So that's my last word on it.
Well, he's actually my real hero. So he inspires most of the stories. My friends say, "Oh, I really like that guy character." Well, they were all inspired by my husband, so it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, if you would love to have your own copy of your ebook copy of Illusions, or you have read it but you want somebody else to have a copy, my publisher is giving the ebook version of Illusions away right now through April 22nd. So it starts today, April 18th through the 22nd on Amazon. I will put the link at the end of this so that you can go and get your own copy. I mean, 5 days of free. How good does it get? But Providence has come out. The reviews are already starting to trickle in, and they're pretty good, so I'm excited about that. And it was inspired by my brother's suicide. So there is some darkness to it, but there's always hope. So we're almost done with Hope Week. So I'm glad you joined us, and I pray you have a blessed Sunday. Bye.
Nice to meet you.